When Ragnar heard this, he knew that Charlie didn't plan to just let it go. So, he immediately shouted to Roger with a calm face, "B-starred thing. Don't you want to kneel down for Mr. Wade?" As soon as this word came out, many people turned their attention here. They questioned from the bottom of their hearts, would the Wu family really kneel down to Mr. Wade? Roger's angry scalp was numb, and his whole body was hot. What he said was also the young master of the Wu family. In Orus Hill, he was a super-rich second generation. He asked him to kneel down for a Orus Hill waste home son-in-law. If this spreads out, how will he see people in the future? As he hesitated to see, Charlie suddenly glanced at his father next to him, and Roger was shocked. He was afraid that Ragnar would be angry, so he could only bite his head, bent his legs and knelt on the ground angrily. "Hey! Young Mr. Roger really kneeled." There was an uproar at the scene. Roger's face was so hot that he wanted to die. Ragnar didn't speak after seeing him kneeling, and immediately shouted, "What are you doing in a daze? Don't apologize to Mr. Wade quickly." Roger could only say in an irritating voice, "Mr. Wade, I'm sorry, I was wrong, please forgive me." Charlie said calmly, apologizing without sincerity, "In fact, it's better not to say it. This will save everyone's time and don't waste everyone's feelings." When Ragnar heard this, he suddenly understood that just letting his son kneel down was not enough to impress Charlie. So he shouted angrily and said, "Don't kowtow to Mr. Wade and beg Mr. Wade for forgiveness." Roger clenched his teeth, leaned over and kowtowed, "Mr. Wade, please forgive my impulse, and I'm extremely sorry." Charlie smiled playfully and said, "Since you apologize so sincerely, then this incident has never happened." Ragnar finally breathed a sigh of relief and couldn't wait to blurt out, "Mr. Wade, I have something to ask for. I don't know if Mr. Wade can sell a rejuvenating pill, and would like to make $1 billion. The people present all exclaimed. It was 500 million just now, but now it has become 1 billion in the blink of an eye? Sure enough, the Wu family is rich. In the Wu family's eyes, 1,800 million may be nothing at all. Charlie smiled slightly at this time and said, "Mr. Ragnar, you think too much. Don't say I don't have a rejuvenation pill now. Even if I have it, it's impossible to sell it for $1 billion. Even if I sell it for $1 billion, I will never sell it to you." Having said that, Charlie snorted coldly, and said, "I am a man who bears a lot of grudges. I clearly remember that you have been clamoring for me to be responsible for the beating of Lu Guang, and you have to make me pay the price. Came to me for medicine? Do you think I am a goldfish with only 7 seconds of memory?" Hearing what Charlie said, Ragnar felt tight. Knowing that Charlie would not be so easy to give up, but he offered a sky-high price of 1 billion. He thought that he was looking at the face of money and would no longer take into account the contradiction just now. But what he didn't expect was that this guy didn't pay attention to the sky-high price of 1 billion at all. Once he came up, he would go through the old account with himself. If it is normal, no matter how big the business is, and encountering such a negotiating opponent, Ragnar will also walk away. But now, he really didn't dare to leave. Because, deep in his heart, he was completely unable to resist the temptation of rejuvenation pill, as if he had been stunned by it, so that his mind was full of it and the effects of consuming it. So he knelt down almost without hesitation, clasped his fists in his hands, and said to Charlie piously, "Mr. Wade, just now it was someone Wu who didn't know your excellency. All colleagues in Orus Hill respect you as a true dragon on earth. Please don't be familiar with me, a common man. Ragnar speaks very well." In order to prevent the opponent from stepping on himself, he deliberately lifted the opponent up high. At this time, most people couldn't care more about him. However, Charlie was not just celebrating the festival with the Wu family and his son at this time, but more importantly, they actually smashed Tianqi's the clinic. With this tone, Charlie had to give it out, and he wouldn't be upset. So Charlie looked at Ragnar, smiled lightly, and said, 1 billion is indeed quite sincere, but Mr. Ragnar, your manners seem to be inferior to your son. Ragnar was taken aback for a moment, and instantly realized that Charlie didn't think he had knocked his head. He didn't think that kowtow was a shame, after all, it was for rejuvenation. Thinking of this, he didn't hesitate and bowed. After kowtow, Regnar raised his head and said piously, "Mr. Wade, please give Wu a chance. As long as you are willing to sell a rejuvenating pill to Wu, Wu will immediately credit 1 billion in cash into your account." Charlie looked at him, smiled playfully, and said, "The rejuvenation pill is simple. In fact, you guessed it, I do still have the rejuvenation pill, but I keep it for myself. But since your price is right, then I can also consider selling it to you." As he said, Charlie reached into his pocket and slowly took out a small wooden box exactly the same as the one given to Mr. Song. After opening it, it was indeed a rejuvenating pill inside. After the rejuvenation pill was taken out, Charlie stood up and said to everyone present, "Everyone, rejuvenation pill is very important. I just hit a private with you, and I hope you will forgive me. I will tell you all here. This rejuvenation pill, there is indeed one more, but this one was prepared for myself, and sincerely did not intend to sell it, but President Wu was sincere and quoted a high price, so I really have to consider it carefully." Although everyone was greedy for this rejuvenation pill, they were helpless. After all, there are too few people who can come up with 1 billion in cash. It is estimated that no more than 5 people were present.